Kinder Morgan proposes to ship 590,000 barrels of oil a day from Alberta to foreign markets, increasing tanker traffic to 400 per year through the Burrard Inlet, the Salish Sea, and the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The carbon emissions from the production to the eventual consumption of this is roughly twice the level of BC's total emissions. In January this year, BC granted an environmental certificate to the project, and Premier Clark announced a special deal for Kinder Morgan to pay BC 25 to 50 million per year. But opponents continue to reject the project, saying the risks of harm from oil spills and increased tanker traffic are too great, that its added carbon emissions are incompatible with action on climate change, and that it is simply not good for BC. The Union of BC Indian Chiefs opposes the project, as do the majority of First Nations along the pipeline route, the cities of Victoria, Vancouver, and Burnaby, and other BC municipalities. The question to the candidates: do you support the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project? If so, why? If not, what would you do to stop it? Josh, you're up next.
So again, I'm not either for or against the pipelines. It comes down to property rights, but there's a couple of things in the preamble that I got to take issue with. They say that the majority of First Nations the majority of First Nations along the pipeline route oppose it. Well, it's been reported numerous times that there's over 40 Native bands that have signed agreements with Kinder Morgan, and of the 6 First Nation reserves directly on the pipeline route, 4 have endorsed the project. So it's not just that you can say no, and because some Natives have said no, then that's no, because there's also Natives that are saying yes. They want the jobs, they want the money for their economies, for their lands. The simple solution is property rights. If the pipeline, people say, no, you can't run a pipeline through my property, then the answer is no, and the pipeline goes around. You've got to remove the protections from these oil companies so that when there is a spill, or if there is a spill, they have to pay the cost rather than the government. But the simple solution is always going to fall back to property rights. You don't have a right to tell First Nation bands that have agreed to have that pipeline go through no, and you don't have a right to tell First Nation bands that have said no, the pipeline can't go through, that yes, it is going through. Government expropriation of land is the problem. Private property is the solution, and that's where the cards will lie. The pipeline is probably going to go through. Alberta has a right to get their oil to the coast. It's not just BC's coast. You got to remember, this is the coast of Canada, and all provinces have a right to transport their resources to the global market. Those jobs provide really well-paying jobs for their families. You got a choice. It doesn't always have to be no pipelines. BC Libertarians, property rights. Over 40 Native bands have signed agreements with Kinder Morgan, and of the 6 First Nations with reserves directly on the pipeline route, 4 have endorsed the project. Even the Esquimalt Nation itself has taken money from Kinder Morgan in support for their people. You don't have the right to tell these people that are saying yes, well, no, we've decided no, so no. These Native bands own that property. They've said yes. Their yes is stronger than your no because you don't own their property.